Welcome to the Existence Project podcast, where we share stories from our Keeping It Human workshops and hope to prove that community can be founded on connection, dignity, and belonging for all, where everyone's story is heard. This month, we talked to Rob Reed, an avid community supporter and organizer who has integrated himself deeply in service throughout his 20-plus years in Victoria. In this podcast, he shares how early experiences with loss and separation from family led him into a competitive marathon running career, and now, someone who believes compassion is the most important thing you can give.
I grew up in a middle-class family in Toronto. I hope it's okay to say that word, Toronto, or Toronto. And I was fortunate with my mom and my dad that, we had a normal lifestyle, but it was a short-term experience with me having that family time for the 5 to 6 years that I experienced that. My dad, was off the boat from Ireland. He had a heart condition, had a genetic heart condition, and he ended up settling in a job where he sold life insurance, which was a little ironic because he could not have life insurance working for London Life, but being one of their top salespeople in Toronto in the late 50s, early 60s. He went through a lot of health problems and conditions where he had to get surgeries. They decided they would do a open heart surgery, which was a new procedure that hadn't been tried that often. They said they learned a lot, but at the age of 6, I lost my dad. Now, back then, losing someone, and obviously, losing a parent is a big deal for any child. And it's, now me being so old and looking back, it's easy to talk about it. But having lived with my mom, who was left with the fallout of that, which was the fact that there wasn't a health plan that we could rely on. Canada was a different place back in 1960, 1961. And while mom and dad had a house, my mom couldn't keep the house, so we had to sell the house to pay the medical bills, which meant we would have to move, which means that my mom would have to find a job to have an income, which means that, she gave me up to another family. So she had to find a family to take me on or put me up. And she went to find a new life skill that she could use as employment down the road. So being separated from my mom was one thing, but losing a dad was another thing. And I guess I was somewhat shell-shocked from that life experience for a couple of years, that it's just sort of a dark black hole that I don't remember a lot about. But when people stepped in to make a difference, to make my life more comfortable, that really impressed me, I think. And I think that instilled the seed of making a difference for others. And I was fortunate my mom and I got out of that and ended up we got an apartment eventually. She remarried. We moved back to the area in which I originally grew up, and then it was pretty much smooth sailing. But, I think like Gabor Mate might say, a lot of people, whether they're on the street, whether they're having problems with drug abuse of any sort, or any sort of way of filling in endorphins, etc. It's a lot of it's got to be based on previous life experiences and dealing with trauma. And I think in my case, I was dealing with trauma, but I never recognized it. Having the right mentors along the road of life made a difference for myself. And usually those were teachers. And usually sometimes they were people involved in sports. And I have to say that having the right teachers at the right time to keep me motivated and following the road in the right direction to accomplish certain tasks and activities really did keep me involved in not worrying so much about myself and dealing with my trauma, other than the fact that I was focused on something. And I think if we can be focused, whether it's art, music, sports, and various activities, I think that can really make a difference for us to stay sane and productive through life. And I was fortunate that later on in university, I was able to get into running, and I had a phys ed prof at the University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario, that got me involved with some other people that were training for a marathon. And I really enjoyed the activity of going out and giving myself an hour every day to run, to breathe. It was a yoga, it was my meditation. And at the same time, I was doing something healthy for my body, whether subconsciously having lost a dad to a heart condition, but me getting very fit made a difference to my overall health. I think that was a real driver for me, being motivated to stay with that activity. And through that activity, I've been able to build up a business, do a lot with the business as far as philanthropy, from whether it's having put up the Terry Fox statue at Mile Zero, which is, for me, was a real major goal. And I just see the faces and the stories, the people I talk to down at the statue. It really makes a difference to people. Being involved with Daryl Fox, Terry's brother, and the fact that he wakes up every day as Terry's brother and he tries to make a difference for cancer research. Being able to be involved with him with the Terry Fox Marathon of Hope exhibit and overseeing the Terry Fox Center, which we're trying to establish, and him being a very close friend of mine, being able to take on various projects through running, which having various tentacles from that to starting Runners of Compassion, a nonprofit where I'm able to have Shoes for Youth, which is a program through the schools to help kids with various abilities to acquire footwear to stay active. So maybe they'll get turned on in using running like Terry did, which I've been able to do in ways of make a difference in a philanthropic sort of way. So I've been very fortunate to be able to, through a business, give back and get involved. And it's like my involvement in being able to meet a director that was doing a film on homelessness called Us and Them. And I'm not sure if you've seen the movie, but Kristen Longden, Victoria director, made this movie, and I met her, and I was able to view the rough cut, and I was able to raise money locally to get it finished, and it's been touring across Canada. We got invited by the Minister of Housing in Ottawa to show it to some MPs. And again, being able to take something, having been homeless in a sense myself at a young age, and knowing how your life can be put into a totally traumatic situation that affects you for the rest of your life, but being able to show this film and so people can at least discuss the topic in a rational way and aim to make a difference. And I know with myself, having worked with Kool-Aid in the housing in Victoria, being able to have them utilize this film and them get involved with my investment and investing in this film, that we can get people on side about looking at someone on the street, not as a them, but more of an us, and working with them and helping them in a compassionate way to make a difference. And so I've been very fortunate through the years. I've been able to turn my life around and not stay in the back parking lot at my high school in Toronto and just get into drugs, but to get into activity and to move it forward and to pass it forward to others. It's been a really, really amazing pleasure for me and has made a difference. I can't say too much more about the people that have made a difference for me, and I think we all have to look for mentors, and we have to really appreciate the time, the moments, the experiences we spend with people who we want to be with. And I think that they're out there. I think we all have to sort of meet and spend time with those people, and we have to figure out how we can move things forward. And from my running groups at the store to significant people in my family, to different groups that I've worked with, nonprofits in the city, to the Order of St. John, and various groups that I've been able to affiliate with, it's really a great pleasure to give back. And having met the Dalai Lama once, I think back to what he says is that, kindness is my religion. And I think I really believe in that. And I think that compassion is what we need in this world. And I don't think people die on their deathbeds at the end of the day. and say, you know, I didn't do a good thing. I was too compassionate. I gave back too much. I made a difference for someone else. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, that's what we want to leave as a legacy. And I've just been fortunate that things have fallen into place for myself through my life experiences. And I haven't had that much trauma to deal with. However, the little bit I've had has been enough to instill an appetite in myself to step forward and make a difference, whether walking or running, what have you. And that's what I'm about. And I'm fortunate to have wanted to be a builder, to build a business, to build community in various ways. And I really want to thank Marco for this opportunity, because I've been really impressed with this guy from day one. And he's a real hero of mine. And I think all of us that make a difference for somebody else are all heroes. And I sometimes think we open the paper at the beginning of the day. Oops, paper, that's old-fashioned. We look at social media, and I don't think we give enough call-outs to the people like Marco that make a difference, or the Dalai Lama, or Mother Teresa, or the Bobby Kennedys of the past, and so many people in our society. I think we need to sort of let those people get promoted by a lot of us that have fallen into believing in what their quotes are all about. You know, some men look at things the way they are and ask why. Others dream things that never were and say why not. Well, I think that we can say why not, and we can make a difference for others.
You've been listening to the Existence Project podcast. If you want to hear more, check out our website, theexistenceproject.ca, or follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Existence Project.